Hey friends, this is Ian Khan here at HIMSS 25 talking to innovators, thinkers, and professionals from the healthcare industry. I've got with me Julia Komissarchik from Glendor to talk about the emergence of technology and how, whether it's AI, whether it's data, what is changing the future of healthcare. Julia, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. What are you, first of all, tell us about Glendor. Tell us what you guys do, because you do a lot, and I want to know, and then I'll ask you a question.
Right. So my background is AI. I've been in AI for 20 years. And funnily enough, we just won a winner's circle for Emerge Technology competition here at HIMSS.
Congratulations.
So thank you. And so if you're at HIMSS, please join the party. It's going to be at the Emerge Technology session in a couple of hours. What we focus on is this very interesting problem. So everybody's talking about ChatGPT, OpenAI, how we can use it for everything under the sun.
Yeah.
But one thing which is important to remember that ChatGPT has been trained on publicly available data, and there's loads of it. Unfortunately, even ChatGPT is running out of data, and they're looking for more, because without it, the results are biased and so-called non-generalizable, meaning they cannot be used in different with different problems. So imagine how dire the situation is with healthcare. Because in healthcare, unlike ChatGPT training, one has to have access to medical data. And those are not just bits and bytes. Those are very private, very personal records. And those records have to be protected. And that's actually one of the biggest stumbling blocks, in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of experts. I don't claim I am one, but others as well, that say without this access to the data, the models are never going to be generalizable. And the stats support it. If we look at let's say there's right now 1,000 FDA-approved AI models. Average installation is 1.
Okay.
Which means that it's trained on a certain amount of data from, let's say, a hospital, and then it's used at that hospital. That means that the same models cannot be used for other hospitals. And if we look at where those hospitals are, where the data is coming from, it's the coasts.
Yeah.
For United States, for others we can discuss this, but for United States, it's either Stanfords of this world, as well as the East Coast. Okay. What about the rest of us? Like I'm from Utah. What about Utahns? What about people from other states, or if they're not in the urban setting but in rural setting, or tribal clinics? So that's the problem. The models are not yet generalizable, and they're biased towards the data that they were trained on.
Okay. So right now, just to understand the data that a lot of these general ChatGPTs, generative AI platforms have, it's web data. Accessible on the web. Who knows where they've gotten from? We don't know, because they don't disclose it. Nobody tells you where the data is from. It may be from their partners. It may be, so there's literally this dark area of AI that we don't know much about when it comes to generative AI and data. Now we're talking about healthcare data, which can be, let's say if there's a certain state, let's say it's California, it's Utah, it's Washington, what have you. You've got hospital systems, you have rural clinics, you have private practices, you have individual healthcare facilities, like there's many different types of healthcare providers, individual professionals who are specialists. So they probably have some similar or some different EHR or EMR systems where they are storing that information. Maybe some of them still have Excel sheets, who knows? And some of them have very specialized systems. Again, multiple vendors, multiple data, multiple everything. And for a state or a healthcare system to implement an AI system, for the sake of generalizations, to create efficiency, to do all of these great things, what do they need? Number 1, permissions from people. Number 2, access to all this data. Number 3, maybe standardization, right, of this data, because it's all different. What are some of the specific challenges now? So,
absolutely for the first, permission and patient's awareness. And actually, one of the things which I strongly encourage for everybody, us as individuals, is to think about where our data is going, and also how can we contribute this data, because otherwise the models that are trained are not going to be acceptable to us. The other one is all the data is in silos. to your point. Everything is in its own system, and we're going beyond just the reports, beyond the EMR or HR data. We're talking about imaging. So VNA packs. We're talking about videos, photos. All of this data, actually the multimodal data is what is critical for training. So yes, absolutely, the data is very siloed. In terms of standardization, unfortunately, it's very hard to convince everybody to be on the same standard. So I think it's very important to do some things well, like what we do. We don't expect that there will be, that the patient name will be only found in the patient name tag. We look for it everywhere because you can't rely on standards as, we're humans. Everybody makes mistakes or decides to do something of its own. So, but I think the breaking the walls of the silos is critical. Because otherwise we as a AI community will not have access to the data, and we as a patients will not have models that will work on us.
I think from a provider or a healthcare facility perspective, everybody's going to be asking what's in it for us. Why are we doing this? Why are we opening our data to, let's say, a technology company that's going to bring it together and help us find out, what we should do next? I think there's a return on investment that should be there. There's a return on something that kind of will fuel it. I'm thinking about patients. When we tell patients or the general public, hey, give permission to share your data with, let's say, this large provider of AI technology, because now with your data, they can help figure out what to do, how to do this, and they'll improve the healthcare system. A patient might say, no, I have no incentive. Why should I help them? Because they will benefit monetarily. It's been happening in the search industry for many years now with social media. So I think industry also needs to maybe look at some kind of ways of incentivizing patients. I don't know how.
So interesting studies. For example, there was a Canadian study where high 90% of population said we're fine sharing data just as long as it's de-identified. There are two different things. One of them is in order to share data, it must be de-identified. There is no other way because otherwise it's extremely dangerous for the patients. But also monetization, and yes, something like a stock exchange for data, because it will help monetize the data. It will help patients as well as the hospitals. Because if we look at the hospitals right now, like New York, 80% plus are in the red of the rural hospitals, and they're sitting on a gold mine as far as the data is concerned. But I agree with you. One of the things which micropayments nowadays is not a new thing. That's something where if we have ability to pay the hospitals as well as the individual patients, that will be an extremely important thing. That's something that my partner and I are actually writing a book about, how to encourage this and to visualize how it can be done.
There's a lot of complexity in the healthcare system. There are lots of different stakeholders, and it's very difficult to come up with a solution where everybody is happy, because there's thousands of things that you need to be, for example, the payments, they're connected with the monetary system, with the financial system. Then there's the fiats, then there's the crypto, like there's all getting into a different area. In the end, I think everybody's working hard on getting patients what they need, creating efficiency. What is your insight on or foresight on efficiencies that are coming into different systems because of AI over the next 5 years?
So that's actually an interesting question, because one of the things which I've done, I'm part of the committee at SIM, Society for Medical Imaging, where we did a year-long interview of AI CEOs and hospitals to understand what drives hospitals to purchase AI, what will be of interest. And workflows always shows up as one of the top ones, as well as triage, as well as other things. So it's something which is growing, and people are getting more and more comfortable with it. But I would think that unfortunately or fortunately, but we don't have any other choice. We have to use AI in healthcare because the number of doctors is not exactly increasing, and the elderly population, growing population, the numbers are against us. So we have to use AI in healthcare. That's why we're so interested in liberating the data, democratizing the data, because without the access to the data, it's going to be very, very dangerous. As I said in the beginning, when we're talking about ChatGPT, that's publicly available data. Here, it's very sensitive. So we have to watch out for the patients, and we have to protect ourselves as patients At the same time, we have to break that wall.
Of course. What are your,
in my opinion,
what are you hopeful for the next few years as you guys do what you do? What would be a good outcome for you over the next few years?
That we'll have those data sets that will be available for AI companies. We are an AI company, but unlike others, we're not in the sort of traditional AI in healthcare, where like triage workflows. What we are trying to solve is the problem for other AI companies, which is how do we break this wall? How do we protect patients' privacy? And that's the most important thing, but at the same time, make it possible for those AI companies to get access to the data. Otherwise, it will be garbage in, garbage out. The models will not be useful.
Yeah. Do you know if there's something happening at a national level
Yes.
in America, and what is that's trying to bring
So
this
there
all
are a
together?
couple of things that are happening. There are several federal initiatives of creating those more general data lakes. It doesn't have to be data lake, it could be federated, but the important thing is it has to be de-identified. So those initiatives are right now in the process of being put up. One of them is, for example, ARPA-H index, which was a big initiative. I was at the proposals day early in January. So there's several very interesting teams that are looking into how to build this. But we have examples. So Korean data set that is available for Korean companies made a big difference for AI in healthcare in Korea.
Okay.
We can do the same.
Yeah.
We don't have to. We don't have to keep the data in silos, but it has to be protected.
Excellent, Julia. Thank you so much for your time and helping us understand what some of the challenges in the healthcare industry. But it's really insightful. Thank you for joining us here at HIMSS, and
Thank you very much.
Congratulations again
Thank you.
on the award. Alrighty, thank you,
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks.
And that is a cut. Thank you.